Herman Webster Mudgett, more commonly known as Dr. H.H. Holmes, was America's first known serial killer. Herman's early ages were shaped by the abuse he experienced from his parents. His mother was greatly devoted to the practices of the Bible, and this formed her ways of thinking and over time mentally harmed Herman's thought process through mental abuse. His father was an avid drinker and would often physically harm Herman as a way of punishment for misbehaving. Both of his parents were greatly abusive in different ways of their own, and this shaped Herman into the killer we all know today. In order to cope with this abuse, he often turned to animals, but it wasn't just simple cuddling with them. He decided to cut them open and dissect them. This turned into a fascination with the biology and anatomy of all the animals around him. He started off with reptiles and grew on to mammals, and eventually this led him to going into medical school. He couldn't afford it, so he went off and found himself a rich wife. In 1878, Herman married Clara Levering. Her father and family were very well-known individuals and had great amount of money. This led Herman to falsely fall in love with beautiful young Clara. He baby-trapped her and they had 2 children together named Robert and Lucy. In order to continue to put himself through expensive medical school, Herman committed insurance fraud and siphoned all Clara's money away from her. He eventually graduated from medical school after continuing this cycle with 3 other women, all at the same time, might I add. In order to protect his identity, he changed his name to Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. He opened his own practice later on and would often accidentally kill some of his patients. He would then sell their bodies to science to get some money. After gaining plenty of funds, Holmes decided to build his own personal killing playground. While trying to find the most ideal location, the perfect opportunity sprang up. The Chicago World's Fair Exposition was going to happen, and Holmes knew this would bring people in from all over the world to celebrate. The fair opened up in 1893, which gave Holmes just enough time to plan and build his murder castle. Starting the construction, Holmes built a castle that was so elaborate. It had many different rooms, including secret staircases, secret cupboards, hidden doors, and holes through paintings. Anything that he could use to spy and capture the innocent victims staying as guests in his hotels. Holmes finished construction on the murder castle in 1891, when the killings started to become more regular. For 2 years, the murder castle was open before the Chicago Fair Exposition had its celebration weekend. And in this time, Holmes killed more than a number of people. Once the weekend of the Fair Exposition happened, that was Holmes' time to shine. Hundreds upon thousands of people came to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus coming to America. The streets were packed and everybody needed a place to stay. So what better place to stay than the castle right around the corner? This gave Holmes many a picking for his targets. After the celebration, the fair became a tourist site, and people's favorite place to stay was the castle. Holmes continued to kill for another year after the exposition, giving him a total of 4 years of consistent murders in that famous hotel. Dr. Henry Howard Holmes was finally apprehended after his insurance fraud partner in crime and co-owner of the murder castle, Benjamin Pitzel, went missing. Pitzel's wife filed a missing persons report, and this ensued in an investigation to find out where he went. The investigation led back to Holmes, and this guided law enforcement to further findings that he had executed 27 counts of homicide. Throughout the whole trial, Holmes portrayed a masked calm, even when being given the death sentence. Though he had verbally stated that he had killed more than one person, he was only charged and convicted for Benjamin Pitzel's murder. Because criminal profiling was not developed until 1970, a profile was never created for Holmes. We do know that he was incredibly organized, as his elaborate plan of the hotel made that very clear. Holmes originally started killing as a way to distract himself from the abuse he was receiving and secretly defy his parent along the way. This developed into a severe fascination with taking apart bodies of animals and grew into bodies of humans. He went to medical school just to have an excuse of cutting people open. The murder castle was every killer's fantasy, and Holmes turned that into a reality. I believe that in the end, Holmes killed for the simple satisfaction of slicing someone open, therefore classifying him as a hedonistic killer. Holmes has now been the influence for many a serial killer today, and most likely forever will be.